In Torah and in Kabbalah, he and she, masculine and feminine, is mashpia and makabel, a giver and a receiver. And it's obviously common sense, it's logical, that in our relationship with Hashem, he is the mashpia and we're the makabel. So when you ask the question, the way you asked it, the simple answer to the question is, Hashem is he and we are all, collectively, all of us, males and females, all of us are the she. That's the simple answer. Now I understand that that's not politically correct, because it's not politically correct to say that a man and a woman are a mashpia and a makabel. But Torah is not changing, because at this particular juncture in history, it's been decided that everything is a big circle. According to Torah, a man and a woman represent a mashpia and a makabel, as you see in the process of procreation. The seed begins with the man, and of course the new child, the new creation happens in the woman, but it has to be triggered, it has to be stimulated by a zachar. And this is the basis for the idea of a man being a mashpia and a woman being makabel on the most deep level, the most basic level. And in the relationship between Hashem and the world, between God and the world, he's the mashpia, he's the husband, and we are all collectively the wife. Having said that, it gets much more complicated than that. First of all, there's the idea of kochabrichu shchinte. Kochabrichu shchinte is the masculine and feminine aspects within godliness itself. Shechina is feminine. In other words, the idea of godliness, which is masculine, man-like, mashpia, that's HaKadosh Baruch Hu. And there's the idea in godliness, which is feminine, makabel, which is the idea of Shechina. But when you talk about the godliness of Kedusha and the godliness of Shechina, and you say this is the mashpia and this is the makabel, you're talking about a higher level of godliness influencing a lower level of godliness, and a lower level of godliness receiving or being affected by a higher level of godliness. But then there's a third idea. And the third idea is that in the relationship between Yidden and Hashem, there is also a complexity, a symbiosis, if you will, where you say that a Yid can be Achoisi, can be Biti, can be the daughter of HaKadosh Baruch Hu, which means he's the mashpia and we're the makabel. He could be Achoisi, could be the sister of HaKadosh Baruch Hu, and there's even the concept of Imi, the mother of HaKadosh Baruch Hu. And in that relationship, the Yid is the he and HaKadosh Baruch Hu is the she. Now, how does all this work out? Of course, this has to do with Kabbalah, has to do with Hishtalshelus, because when you're talking about Hashem himself, all of these things break down. There's none of these levels. But in Torah, there's every imaginable kind of relationship between a Yidden and HaKadosh Baruch Hu, including a relationship where Kvayachol, Yidden are the mashpia and the Eibishter is the makabel. Having said all of the above, I just want to say one more thing. When you learn Chassidus, the idea that Chassidus tries to drive home on a fundamental level, or it's in the background, it's part of the very spirit of Chassidus, is the concept of Ein Oid Milvade. When you call him Hashem, a he or a she, you're talking about a relationship. There's a relationship between God and the person, between the Eibishter and the world, and whatever the case may be. But of course, one of the core teachings of Chassidus is the idea of Ein Oid Milvade. Ein Oid Milvade doesn't only mean there's no other God besides for God, but there's nothing besides for God. We're a part of him. And on the highest levels, you say Hamoidu Beis Galus, you say Ladazeh Hatinik. There's a variety of different ways of saying it. But the bottom line is that Hashem is neither a he nor a she. Hashem is everything. Hashem is everything. Hashem is us. Hashem is present everywhere. The highest truth of God is the simplest truth of God. And the simplest truth of God, you can't speak of him having a relationship with something other than God, whether he's the giver or we're the recipient or vice versa, because on the highest level, we talk about the truth of HaKadosh Baruch Hu, it's one. And in as much as it's one, it's not a he, it's not a she, it's just a truth. And according to Chassidus, this highest truth is the simplest truth. It's the one that children understand. When children relate to God, they don't have any fancy, sophisticated understandings of mashpia, makabel, and all the rest. They just relate to Hashem by understanding that whatever they understand, he's bigger than their understanding. Like the Rebbe explains the word Oybershted. Whatever our sense of him is, he's bigger than that. And on that level, you can't refer to him either as a he or a she. He's just everything.